Hello, everybody. This is Emerald here, bringing you a speculative Alhaitham fan kit. Um, so this is just something I thought of. I thought it'd be fun to share with you guys, and let's just cut the chit chat and get right into the video. So this is how the structure of the video is gonna work. So first, I'm gonna explain what we know about him, which is gonna include spoilers. Um, what I imagined his gameplay rule to be like. So whether he's like a sub DPS, a support, a healer. He's not a healer, by the way. And then his actual kit that I made up. It's pretty nuts. And then I'll explain how his kit works. And then I'll explain how to play him. And then what kind of like team comps he's in, as if like he was a real character. All this just to immerse you. And then we'll just give the final say in the conclusion. So, what we know so far. So, he's cool, he's calm, he's collected, and he's affiliated with the academia. We know this because in one of the Archon quests, I don't know if it's the one or two, right? He gets in a scuffle with the Eremites, and they call him Academia scum. And the first time you meet him, he's associated with the Academia. And as I mentioned before, he knows his way in a fight. He literally 1v5'd against a bunch of, you know, Eremite fodders. He was analytical when we got scammed by Dory to get that sword fighting knowledge capsule, right? He helped us determine that we got stronger by like 0.17% or something. He's a gym bro because he's got bigger arms than Ito. Bro studied the gym at the academia. And he's a scammer because when that Eremite leader he got the divine knowledge capsule and he went mad and attacked Alhaitham, at the end he pocketed the divine knowledge capsule and told the traveler. He was like, "Hey, damn, that sucks. Divine knowledge capsule out of our hands. Damn." And then we walked away. We're like, "Fuck." No divine knowledge capsule. And then Alhaitham pulled it out in the middle of daylight and he's like, what should I do with this thing? So he's a scammer gets scammed type of guy. So his gameplay role. So we know off the Sumeru promotional video, he's a sword user, and if you go to his in-game model, you can see he has a Dendro vision on his body. And then here are my personal takes on him. I think he's gonna be main DPS slash sub DPS. He's gonna mainly benefit in quick swap teams, and he's gonna buff burst oriented team comps. So let's just go into his kit. So his normal attacks, it's just very quick normal attacks. I don't have anything to say on it. I couldn't think of anything. And to be honest, his normal attacks won't matter because you'll see in the rest of his kit. So his elemental skill is called Analytical Eye. It's got a 12-second cooldown and it generates 3 particles on hit. So in the italics is just going to be like the flavor text. It's going to explain what the ability does, and then I'm going to explain what the ability actually does in the regular text. So the flavor text is that he uses the Akasha system. He quickly observes the weakness of each enemy and strikes them, dealing dendro damage. So what does this actually mean? It means you can see over here. It's step one. This is Alhaitham, and there's like a bunch of hilly churls. You use his skill, his like big ass headphones, which I think is his Akasha system. It observes all the enemies in front of it, which is everything in the green. And then the third step, he just sends out Dendro. Like, I know these look like cucumbers. He's just throwing cucumbers at the hilly churls, but he sends like Dendro. I don't know, Dendro something, and it hits the enemies. So it just sends out projectile towards all enemies on your screen. So like when you're exploring Sumeru, there's like these like flowers in the air, and they only work if they're on your screen. Because when you tap this one button, it like slingshots you towards them, like you're Spider-Man. So we know that's like already implemented in the game. I just wanted to be like a combat feature. And this projectile that he sends out, the cucumbers basically, they pierce through um, all shields. So it'd be like mid-churl shields, the hilly-churl shields, but it does not ignore elemental shields from like abyss mages, like the cryo, electro, pyro, hydro, you know, those mages, and then the lectors, because um, because I don't want him to one shot those things. I feel like that's like their main gimmick. And then his elemental burst. So this one's a lot of explaining. Um, if you look on the screen right now, it's just flavor text. Don't worry, the regular text will be on the next slide. So it's going to be a 70 energy cost, a little bit expensive on the upper echelon of burst cost, 20-second cooldown. And Alhaitham infuses his weapon with Dendro, so he gets a Dendro infusion. And he gets Dendro damage bonus and enters a combat meditation state that gives him 6 stacks of Grass Glaive. Each stack of Grass Glaive will augment his next normal attack to send out a fast traveling shockwave that pierces all enemies in its path, dealing Dendro damage. That should have been highlighted in green, but I didn't. One stack of Grassglaive is generated every 2 seconds and whenever an ally casts their elemental burst. Alhaitham can only generate these stacks while he is in his combat meditation state, and may only hold up to 6 stacks at once. Alhaitham exits his combat meditation state once the party is out of combat for 10 seconds. So, I get that was a lot. I'm going to explain what this all means in the next slide. And I just wrote here he gets 20% damage, Dendro damage bonus. So what does his ult do? So basically, he gains 1 stack every 2 seconds, whether he's on field or off field, and whenever an ally other than himself casts their burst. He doesn't exit his burst when he's swapped out, so it's not like Razor where you cast his burst and if you swap out, it's gone, right? So you can cast his burst, swap off, swap back, he's still going to be in his burst. He only leaves his burst state once you exit combat for 10 seconds. So if you're in the Spiral Abyss, this literally doesn't matter because you're always in combat. So you just cast his burst once per floor and you good. You're just spamming away. He gives himself Dendro damage bonus along with infusing his normal charge plunging attacks with Dendro. So you can see in this picture that I drew myself. Thank you. I know I'm a great artist. He gets the Dendro infusion, which is why his sword is green, and then you can see he sends out like these long ass grass glaives at this hilly trail. And then you can see he still has 5 more stacks because when he casts it, he gets 6 stacks to begin with. So, if you guys don't know, there was this collab Genshin did with Honkai, which is same company, but Kaching and Fischl went to Honkai and they got completely new different kits. And Kaching got this really cool, what's showing on screen right now, and I just thought it would be really cool to implement that into his kit. So it's imagine like just this but green. Um, looks pretty cool, right? So now for his Ascension passive, his first one. I don't have a name for this. Alhaitham reduces the cooldown of all ally party members' bursts by zero point 0.5 seconds whenever a grass glaive stack is used. This does not affect his own bursts. So at 6 stacks, if you used all of them, it reduces all your other party members' ult cooldown by 3 seconds. Kind of self-explanatory. Just encourages him to be slotted on teams that want to use their burst a lot. Now as A2, the OP Ascension passive that everyone usually gets. Enemies hit by Analytical Eye, his skill, have their elemental resistance reduced by 20% based on party elemental composition. If there are more than one of the same element type on the team, the resistance is only further reduced by 10% per additional member. So let's say we have an example team of Yamiko, Fischl, Alhaitham, and Bennett. So we have Electro, Dendro, and Pyro. So if you use his skill, all enemies who get hit have minus 30% electro resistance, since there's Yai and Fischl, It'll be 20% because that's the initial reduction, and then 10% for any additional elemental reduction. So it'll be 30% in total, and then minus 20 Dendro because of Alhaitham himself, and then minus 20% Pyro because of Bennett. Um, you might think this is OP. Kinda is, not gonna lie. So, with his A2, Alhaitham can replace the Anemo character in mono element teams. Since Anemo's VV set shreds 40% of one specific element. If Alhaitham is in a mono pyro team, he will shred 40% pyro resistance as well. So if you have 3 pyros, it's 20% plus 10% plus 10% because you only get 10% more per additional member, as stated before. For his own element, Dendro, he can shred up to 80% Dendro resistance with the Deep Wood Memory set if he's in a mono Dendro team. So let's say you're in a team with Kole, Dendro, Kusanali, the Dendro Archon, Dendro, Alhaitham, Dendro, Tanari, Dendro. So in total you get 80%. And then his utility passive, it's called Knowledge of the Gods, increases your own party member's burst level by 1. So this was a really cool concept that I really liked from Child's passive, where he boosts everyone's normal attack damage by 1. And they never really brought that back. And whenever you look at like any constellation, um, specifically their C3 and their C5, it says maximum level is 15. But right now in the game, there's no way to get to level 15. So, this is a way if you want to get some of your C3 characters to have level 14 burst, you could. So it fits his kit because it's burst oriented and it was a unique passive from Child, so I just wanted to bring it to his kit. So, how do you play him? He will be slotted into quick swap teams for his burst cooldown reduction and the fact that he needs allies to cast their burst quickly to quickly recharge his own grass glaive stacks. Basically, his GG stacks is what I'm going to call them from now on. So, this is the rotation. You swap to Alhaitham, you cast your skill, burst, and then you normal attack 6 times, send out his GG stacks. You swap to all other party members and cast your burst. You swap to your other 2 party members, cast their burst, and then you swap back to Alhaitham, do the whole shabazz again. So, these are the 3 main team comps that he's going to be in. It's going to be Raiden National with Alhaitham, Mono Teams plus Alhaitham, and Mono Dendro. So Raiden National works because Raiden gives the Eye of Stormy Judgment buff, which boosts burst damage based on the energy costs, which is something Alhaitham wants because he also wants to be put on a team with burst supports. And then mono teams because Alhaitham can essentially replace the Anemo character to do the same amount of resistance shredding. And then mono Dendro because 80% Dendro resistance reduction is not a joke. Now, the issue with Raiden National plus Alhaitham. So, if you don't know what a national team is, I don't even know what a national team is. I don't even run it, but I do know of its existence. I do know that Raiden National is something like, I think it used to be like Chongyun, Bennett, Shangling, and Xingqiu, right? And then you just slap on Raiden instead of Chongyun, and it became Rational. And then, the new support called Alhaitham comes out, and then he's called Algorithm because theory crafters love math. So now, the new theory crafted team is going to be called Algorational because it gets the Al from Alhaitham, the R in Rational from Raiden, and Ational because it used to be a national team comp. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is don't let theory crafters come up with these bogus ass names like Sakokomon, Rational, National, International. It gets so confusing. Don't forget Morgana. I could go on. So in conclusion, it's just a theory kit. It's not a leak. It's just for fun. And I think the best part of this is when he actually does come out, or when his kit gets revealed, right? I can go back, or you guys can go back and look at how close or how far I was from, actually guessing what his kit would be like. And plus, I just think it's cool to, implement a little bit of what you want into the game. See how close they get to it. And now is his constellations. They're gonna be broken because that's just how constellations are. So his C1 increases his GG damage, his GG's crit rate by 10% and the crit damage by 30%. So it's a pretty good C1. It's just a number increase. C2. So starting with Raiden, most characters have like a really good power spike on C2. So each consecutive GG done in succession boosts the next one's damage by 5%. So if you unleash all 6 at once, your final grass glaive is going to do 30% more because you have 6 of them, increases the next one by 5%. You can do the math. His C3 increases his burst level by 3 because you prioritize his burst over his skill. His C4 reduces the time to gather GG stacks naturally down to 1 second, and ally burst gives 2 stacks instead. Pretty self-explanatory. C5 increased skill level by 3. And now the absolute most busted C6. Alhaitham's maximum grass glaive stacks is now 20 and starts off at 10. And Alhaitham can now hold down his normal text to quickly send out his grass glaive stacks, increasing his attack speed and increasing his resistance to interruption. So basically, that clip from Honkai Impact is now real. Because if you have 20 stacks and you're just unleashing them on the enemy, I don't think 1 Dendro damage is not out of possibility for him, because along with C2 and C1 and then his C4 making you be able to get stacks quickly, you might get you might get you might send out 40 stacks against floor 12. That is if floor 12 can even survive the first 20. So obviously I saved the constellations for last because they're just for fun and absolutely not balanced. Um, so yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are pulling on him. Let me know if you're pulling on this version of Alhaitham. Let me know if you guys are disappointed when they release his actual kit and it's not Honkai Kaching Grass Glaive stacks, because I thought this was really cool. I will be doing these for the other Sumeru characters if I'm not too lazy and I actually can pump them out before, leakers leak their whole kit and this becomes useless. But this was fun. Hope you guys are enjoying Sumeru. And yeah, let me know what you think.